Imagine this. You're marooned on a barren world with no one to call for help. No radio, no rescue. Just the wreckage of a shattered starship and a companion who isn't even human. That's the nightmare Captain Alara Ward faced when her ship, the Odyssey, crashed on an uncharted planet. Stranded with Quax, an alien navigator with golden eyes and a calm, unreadable gaze, she thought survival would be their only struggle. She was wrong. What they discovered went far beyond survival. Before we dive into this incredible HFY story, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps more people find these human-first tales. If you love science fiction that blends survival, mystery, and the strength of the human spirit, consider subscribing. And hey, share this with a friend who enjoys cosmic what-ifs. Because, trust me, this one's going to spark some conversations. The Odyssey had been a marvel of human ingenuity, a massive interstellar ship, built not only by human hands, but also with the cooperation of alien allies across the galaxy. Its mission was simple in theory, but monumental in scope. Explore uncharted worlds, extend diplomacy, and remind the stars that humanity had finally arrived. Captain Alara Ward stood at the helm when everything went wrong. She wasn't the type to flinch under pressure. She had led crews through radiation storms, rogue asteroid fields, even skirmishes with hostile raiders. But nothing prepared her for the chaos that erupted when the Odyssey's systems began to fail. Sparks rained from consoles. The ship groaned as if the metal itself was crying out. Lights flickered red across the bridge, and through the din of alarms, one name cut through the noise. "Quax, I need that trajectory stable," Alara barked, her voice steady even as her pulse pounded in her throat. Quax, the alien navigator from Dren. His skin was the color of forest moss after rain, his golden eyes like liquid fire. Quiet, calculated, the kind of presence that seemed almost mechanical in its precision, and yet when he spoke, there was always an undertone of calm that steadied those around him. But even he could not stop what was coming. The Odyssey plummeted into atmosphere. Hull plating screamed as fire licked across the ship's skin. Gravity threw the crew into chaos. Alara clung to her seat as her beloved vessel, once a symbol of peace and progress, came apart around her. Then came the impact. The world itself seemed to shatter. Metal twisted, alarms died, and silence fell. When Alara opened her eyes, smoke stung them. The air reeked of burning metal. Her head rang, every breath laced with pain. She stumbled through wreckage, calling out for her crew. No answer. Only silence and the hiss of fire eating away at what remained. Then, movement, a shape rising through the haze. Quax. He emerged battered, his green skin streaked with cuts, but his composure unbroken. Relief hit Alara like a tidal wave. For the first time since the crash, she felt she wasn't alone. "Are you functional?" she asked, her voice breaking. "I am," he replied, steady and calm. His golden eyes flickered over the ruins. "We must assess the situation. Survival is priority." And just like that, reality hit her. The rest of the crew was gone. No rescue beacon, no command chain to follow. Just her and him. Two survivors on a dead world. They salvaged what they could. Scraps of metal for shelter, rations scattered among the wreckage, a single flickering lantern. As night fell, Alpha 97 revealed its cruelty. The temperature plunged, the cold gnawed at their bones. With no choice, they huddled together in the ruins, silent, their breaths turning white in the frozen air. For Alara, the weight of command pressed heavy. She had always been the one to lead, to protect, to carry the burden of her crew's survival. But now it was just her and an alien she barely knew. Could she trust him? Could he trust her? The next morning answered the first question. Together they left their makeshift shelter and scouted the terrain. Alpha 97 was barren. Rocky plains stretched to every horizon, dotted only with sparse vegetation and jagged cliffs. No cities, no settlements, no signs of intelligent life. "We need water," Alara muttered, scanning the empty landscape. Quax nodded. Divide efforts, cover more ground, increase probability of success. It was logical. Cold, but it made sense. So they split up. Each step alone across that alien wasteland hammered home the truth. Survival here would not be a matter of technology, but of will. Hours later, Alara found it. A trickle of water spilling down a rocky slope. She filled her canteen with trembling hands, calling Quax back over comms. Relief flooded her voice as she said, "I found water. We have a chance." By the time he returned, his arms empty of food but his eyes sharp with determination, the beginnings of something fragile had formed between them. Not trust, not yet, but recognition. They needed each other. That night, as they reinforced their shelter against the bone-deep cold, silence wrapped around them again. The lantern glowed faintly, their shadows dancing on the walls of twisted steel. Alara looked at him, not as navigator, not as alien, but as a fellow being bound by the same struggle. "Tomorrow," she whispered, almost to herself, "we keep searching." Quax's golden eyes caught the light, unreadable but steady. "Together," he said simply. And in that single word, Alpha 97 no longer felt like a grave. For the first time since the crash, it felt like a beginning. Days became weeks. Weeks blurred into months. Alpha 97 was merciless, but Alara and Quax carved out a rhythm. He studied the alien flora, cautious and meticulous, testing what was edible. She built tools, traps, and pathways. Stubborn, inventive, unwilling to let despair win. Some nights they simply sat beneath the alien stars, saying nothing. And yet in the silence, something powerful stirred. One evening when exhaustion weighed heavy on Alara's shoulders, she asked softly, "Do you think we'll ever get off this planet?" Quax was quiet for a long time, his golden eyes reflecting the firelight. Then he said, "I believe survival is more than escape. It is about who we become in the waiting." His words lingered with her. They weren't just surviving. They were transforming. The walls between them, human and alien, commander and navigator, distrust and caution, slowly began to crumble. Alara shared stories of Earth, her father urging her to reach for the stars, her childhood chasing fireflies in the fields of Montana. Quax spoke of Dren, a world of oceans and towering cliffs where his people built cities into stone, singing to the waves. Through these memories, they discovered something rare. Not just tolerance, but connection. And one night when a storm battered their cave and the cold bit at Alara's bones, fear cracked her armor. She leaned into him, trembling, whispering, "I don't know if I can keep doing this." Quax placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice, calm but fierce, carried a weight she hadn't expected. "You can. Because you already have. And because you are not alone." That moment, that touch, changed everything. From then on, they weren't just surviving Alpha 97. They were living it together. Small gestures grew into something deeper. The way his gaze softened when she spoke, the way her laughter, rare but real, brought warmth to their nights. And eventually it became undeniable. By the fire under the vast alien sky, Alara whispered the words she never thought she'd say to someone not of Earth. "I think I'm falling in love with you." Quax's golden eyes widened, then softened with a light that nearly stole her breath. "I have felt the same," he confessed, his voice breaking through the careful walls he had always held. "You are not just my captain. You are my heart." It was more than attraction. It was more than comfort. It was a bond forged in fire, tempered by survival and made unshakable by choice. Love in its rawest form. And as time passed, that love gave them something even greater, new life. Alara's hand brushed her stomach one morning, realizing the truth. A child. Their child. The living proof that what began as survival had transformed into a future, a bridge between worlds carried in her. Hope surged where once there had only been despair. Their love had not only kept them alive, it had created something new, something miraculous. And then, the impossible happened. Deep in the ruins of an ancient structure, Long buried beneath Alpha 97 sands, they uncovered remnants of advanced technology. With relentless effort, they repaired it piece by piece until one day Quax looked up with fire in his eyes. "The signal is ready." When it was sent, they waited. Days stretched into eternities. And then, an answer. A rescue ship. When it landed, tears streamed down Alara's face as she turned to Quax, her hand pressed over the growing life inside her. "We did it. We survived. And now, we're bringing new life into the galaxy." Quax's hand joined hers. His golden eyes shimmered, steady as always but filled now with awe. "Yes, our child will be proof that love knows no species, no boundary, no end." As they boarded the rescue vessel hand in hand, the galaxy no longer felt indifferent and cold. It felt alive with possibility. Because this wasn't just the story of a crash. It was the story of how humanity, fragile, stubborn, unyielding, could reach across the stars and turn survival into love, and love into legacy. And that is the story of Captain Alara and Quax, two survivors who found not just hope, but love on the edge of nowhere. What began as a fight to endure became something far greater, a bond that reshaped their futures, and maybe even the future of their civilizations. It's a reminder that the core of humanity, our resilience, our capacity to connect, and yes, to love, can bridge any divide, even the divide between worlds. If this HFY story struck a chord with you, don't forget to hit like. It really helps us grow this community of sci-fi dreamers. Subscribe if you haven't already, because more tales of humanity's triumphs among the stars are coming. And share this one with a friend, because stories like this deserve to be passed on. After all, who knows what you'd find if you were stranded among the stars?